Growing Big with Steve Bartylla.
When it comes to managing ground for hunting, what are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to improve our hunting opportunities. It really is that simple. And as an added bonus, we're trying to improve the deer's health. But really, well, let's be brutally honest, we're trying to improve our hunting opportunities. That's the primary reason we're doing this. In my case, it's also because I just plain get off on doing something that is going to make a deer change what they're doing and follow the script that I've laid out for them. It doesn't always work, but the more we can stack the odds in our favor, the more little things we can stack up, they add up to a big deal. And that's what we're going to talk about today, just stacking the odds in our favor. Let's take that food source. We've got that large farm field out there. We know the deer are feeding in it. We've got that large clear cut. That large clear cut that's in its first year regrowth, we know the deer are feeding in it. We've got that meadow that's teeming with cool season grasses, forbs, which forbs, fancy word for weeds. We know the deer are feeding in there, but they're open. They're all open areas, so we also know that Mr. Big doesn't want to step out in there very much. So what can we do? We can go ahead and do nothing more than shift 50 yards back into the woods and create a food source there. A small staging / kill plot. If we have big equipment, if we want to go ahead and pay $100 an hour to get a dozer and dozer operator out there, man, he can do it just like that. For $400 or $500, we got a couple kill plots. And he went ahead and slapped in water sources for us as well. But when we don't have that option, we want to save some time, just get out there with a chainsaw and open up the canopy. Open up the canopy. Go ahead and spray for weeds. Most times you don't even have to do that in the woods to start with. All you have to do is go ahead and top seed some fall, winter, spring, which is a cereal rye, some trophy clover, which is obviously a clover, some honey hole, which is a brassica mix, lights out oats, which is obviously oats. We can go ahead and top seed any of those onto the ground, and if we get the rain and it's decent soil, you know what, it's going to grow. So then we take it a step further. What we just did is we made a nice little staging plot where Mr. Big is going to want to stop before he goes out to that wide open food source. Okay, so let's take it a step further now, and let's go ahead and edge feather around that opening. All we're doing is hinge cutting the trees to get them to fall down about a 5-yard band, 5-yard wide band around that. Okay, we just went ahead and made it so even more sunlight gets into our crops now. And we just took all that browse from up here and we dropped it down to deer level, along with spurring new growth from the extra sunlight it's now receiving. So we get all that leafy growth down there, all those buds for over winter, the new grasses and weeds and berries, all that type of food is now supplementing our food source. We now have a 1-2 punch going for food. Okay, then, you know what? Before we did any of that, we selected where our tree stand was going to be, and we built this around that. So we know we have a safe wind, we know we can get in, we know we can get out undetected. Okay, now let's go ahead and create an opening 15-20 yards away from that stand in safe wind directions where we want the deer to enter and where we want them to exit. Couple more on other safe wind areas so they don't feel trapped. So we have a bare minimum of 4 entrances and exits to this area. Okay, now we've just went ahead and upped the odds a little bit more that we're not going to get winded because they're going to be entering and exiting in those locations. And we upped the odds of getting that shot because those locations happen to be within weapons range. Now we'll go ahead and we'll plant a scrape tree out in front of that stand, right in the middle of that kill plot. Or if we were doing it by chainsaw, we'll cut some of the trees high so we can nail licking branches off that. Okay, now we're sucking them to the spot we want the shot to occur, and we're positioning that by pointing the licking branches back towards the stand, we're positioning them to take their attention away from us so we have all day to be up in the stand, come to full draw, and let that shot go. Okay, let's take it a step further. And let's go ahead and bury a 20-gallon bucket within shooting distance of our stand for a water source. Put a couple inches of dirt in the bottom of it. Okay, let's put extra licking branches around that staging plot to get it so, man, it's just a scraping frenzy in this area. That you got all sorts of bucks tearing it up, meaning more and more bucks want to come and advertise as well. And they're wasting time on our plot that we're going to be hunting. Okay. The more of these little difference makers you can stack in your favor, the higher the odds are that it's going to work out successfully. It's going to take those close encounters, transform them into grip and grin opportunities where you're sitting there holding that rack that you can't believe you just got him.
Growing Big is brought to you by Wildlife Research Center, the gold standard. Reconics, see what you've been missing. Antler King, bigger bucks, healthier deer. The Heater Bodysuit, you stay warm or your money back. Furminator, the best food plot implement on earth. Bush Hog, performance you can count on. Redneck Blinds, the best hunting blinds on the planet. Chestnut Hill Nursery and Orchards. And foodplotsfordeer.com, planning your habitat improvements and improving your hunting.
We're really doing all this stuff for the purpose of improving our hunting. So with that in mind, let's do as many little things as we can to increase our odds. The more little things we stack in our favor, the more they add up to a big deal and the more filled buck tags we have to show for it.